On the 6th of October 1981, during an army parade to commemorate the 1973 war between Egypt and Israel, President Anwar al-Sadat was assassinated. Mohammed Hosni Mubarak, the Vice President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Egyptian Air Force, became the new president and would go on to rule Egypt for the next 3 decades. Mubarak seized the opportunity of Sadat's assassination to enforce emergency law, allowing his regime to arrest, torture and prosecute anyone without adhering to civil law. The following 30 years of dictatorship turned Egypt into a police state, costing Egyptians their freedom, their dignity and their right to a decent standard of living. In 2010, while Mubarak and his regime celebrated their success, the mother of the martyr Khalid Saeed, who was brutally murdered by the police, was still shedding her tears. Her son's death lit a spark of anger in the hearts of thousands of Egyptians who went on demonstrations calling for his murderers to be brought to justice. On the 23rd of January 2011, Mubarak appeared in celebration for Police Day with his Interior Minister Habib al-Adli. The regime seemed solid and coherent, rejoicing in its achievements. This left pain in the hearts of many Egyptians who endured violence and brutality at the hands of the regime. The Mubarak regime felt that it was at its strongest, living in a golden era that will enable Hosni Mubarak's son Gamal to inherit power from his father. Especially because in the last parliamentary elections, the ruling National Democratic Party had taken more than 80% of the seats, and there was no significant opposition presence. The lack of parliamentary opposition had led the regime to adopt a new policy named self-criticism. Meanwhile, youth groups began calling for mass demonstrations on social networking sites.
انزل وطالب بحقك وبحقي وبحق اهلك وبحقنا كلنا. انا نازله يوم 25 وهقول للفساد لا والنظام لا.
It was the generation born under the emergency law that surprised the regime and demolished its rule. It was the revolution of the 25th of January.
On the night of the 24th of January, I took a walk from my house to Mustafa Mahmoud Mosque, which was one of the points of gathering for the 25th of January's demonstrations. I walked all the distance just to know how long it would take me to walk from my house all the way to the meeting point. And I also wanted to know how the police was getting ready for that day. And actually, yeah, I found a substantial number of police cars.
On the 24th, my status on Facebook was, I'm going tomorrow, who's going to join me? And I found out from everyone, from work, from friends, who's going. I wanted to go with a group of friends if possible. And people were telling me, why are you going to go? And nothing's going to change, it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. To me, it wasn't, yeah, it probably would have been dangerous. I knew there was this risk factor. But I also felt like, yes, I also realized maybe it wasn't going to change anything, but to me it was enough to go down to the street and say and voice my opinion about something that really meant a lot to me, that I believe in freedom, I believe in my right for so many things, and it was enough for me to go down to the street and say these things, even if it wasn't going to be different the next day.
The second day I woke up very early, I got dressed, I went for a coffee just halfway to the mosque. I got my coffee, I walked to the mosque and I sat down on a bench, you know, trying to feel not suspicious, although I found a lot of people doing the same thing, being not suspicious. They were very suspicious being not suspicious, but a lot of youth were just, you know, reading their magazine, looking into a newspaper, looking into the watch as if they were waiting for something. Everybody it was like kind of a build-up just before the event happened. Everybody was waiting for this something to happen, but nobody really knew. I mean, they didn't write it on Facebook, they didn't say that on TV, they didn't give out any flyers, they didn't tell us how it will start. They just said a tentative time, 12 o'clock, noon, and that everything will start, and wait for the sign. And soon enough the sign came from the mosque. We heard people chanting and saying, "Long live Egypt." And in a second, all those people who seemingly had nothing to do or were just lingering around, just diverged or converged on the mosque. running, crossing the street, youth, women, ladies, old ladies, men. I mean, I couldn't imagine. And in a second, the 100 people who were just standing in front of the mosque chanting were 500 to 600 people, just in a matter of minutes. The build-up came up very slowly, actually. I thought, okay, is that it? They were outnumbering us, and we were boxed in, we couldn't even move, and they were just chanting in place. It seemed to me like this wasn't it. I had to go somewhere, because I knew there was somebody else in another square called Sqaure, which is up north in Cairo, and my father actually went there. My father is over 60, and he decided to go. So this was kind of something we had decided to do as a family.
One of the good things about what happened on that day is they didn't, usually in Egypt for protests before, they'd be like, we're having one meeting point, and it's usually downtown, and nothing would happen because they block off all the entrance gates or the entrance areas into a place like that. This time there were several meeting points, which encouraged people from all over Cairo to join, and it kind of made it impossible for the security forces to kind of stop the people from coming.
We spilled out into the street, crossing over to the other side, and lo and behold, we look up to the north side of the street and we find people coming from another place called Mubarak, and then the 500 pick up pace with another 500 and another 500 and another 500. In half an hour, we're 5,000 people walking down the street, going south on Jamaat al-Dawal street. And then the police tried to cut us off, but they can't because we're moving. They don't understand what this is. I mean, a lot of the youth moving. The demonstrations were moving, and that was causing them a problem because they're always static. They have to stand somewhere. That was good for us, and we were calling for the people to come.
We were going down the streets, going through the buildings, telling people, "Inzil ya Masri, come down, Egyptian, come down." And people started joining us, and it got bigger and bigger, and like all the different groups met, and we were just heading towards Tahrir.
And as we came into Tahrir, we came in from the west side. From the north side, later on would be the grounds for the camel battle. Another 10,000 came. So we were like 20,000 in the middle of the Tahrir. That's just 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. To the police, I would say this was something that they would never expect. But they were prepared. They were very well prepared. And they started bombarding us with gas canisters. The clashes started to pick up pace, pick up heat, and they started using their sticks, and they started using their batons, and they started using stones, throwing at us, using barricades, running and charging us, and then retreating to let us come back after them. It was mayhem. People started chanting one chant together in one heartbeat. They all changed whatever they were saying into one chant. The people want the removal of this regime. And I can tell you the fear that we saw in the eyes of all those soldiers and all those ranks of police officers that were there that night. We all said it once, all 80,000 I would say we were at that time, at the peak of it, saying,
مش هنمشي من هنا خالص قاعدين لحد ما يحصل إسقاط للنظام.
And at that point, everything stopped. They stopped, they put down their weapons, and they gave us, I would say, 6 hours of like peace.
I remember people calling me from Tahrir telling me, "It's wonderful, it's spectacular. Everyone is here, we're all just sitting there, we're saying what we want to say, nothing, the security forces are leaving us on our own." And it was quite an amazing thing. Until 12 midnight, then everything went wrong.
We haven't seen such a brutal attack. Even the canister had do not fire in the crowd. They were firing us 20 or 30 within the small circle of Tahrir. People were falling off. I saw a man on a wheelchair. He couldn't go anywhere, but we were trying to get him out. They couldn't see him from the smoke. Can you imagine?
My friends who were there, they ran from one place to the other just to try and reach a safe place. My friends who came back and like the clothes were torn. Some people got badly injured because of all the violence that happened on that night. It made people who were there so angry and so insistent to go there again.
The protests continued on the following days. The aim was to exhaust the security forces and disable them from reorganizing themselves. But their violence and brutality and the scenes of deliberate killing increased the anger and determination of thousands of Egyptians to go down on the 28th of January, the Friday of Anger.
We were going out on the Friday, the 28th. This is going to be the day of anger. This is going to be the real spark of this revolution. And I was telling everyone, do not go out. If you haven't gone anywhere, stay at home. Go out on Friday. Friday is the day. This is the moment. And I even had friends coming. Muhammad Ashraf coming from the UK. People coming from Turkey. They all came for that day.
For about 15 years, I didn't feel that I belong to Egypt as much as this moment. And this moment I felt like there is a chance of change. There is a chance that we make Egypt a better country that we like to see. I've contacted many of my friends. I was in London, and I tried to do as much as I can to help the people in Egypt by spreading the news and all of that. I thought this is not enough, and I thought that Friday is a very important day in Egypt normally. So if the demonstrations continue until Friday, then if I had the chance to participate, then definitely one person will be an added value to this great number.
On 25th I saw the TV, and I was looking at the TV, and there was madness going on, people dying. The police was very aggressive on that. So I told my dad I want to go there, and he told me, he said inshallah, but I pretty knew that he was going to send me there, but I didn't know when exactly. And when he was talking to my brother on the phone, I was there, and he said, okay, if you go down, I'll send Salah with you. And then I knew I was going.
My family was shocked because I just called them from the airport and I said I arrived to Egypt. For them it was very strange that you are coming in a strange time, and they didn't think that I'm coming for that purpose. I went to visit them, and they said, good that you came, because we are not allowed from now on, we are not allowed to go outside this home, and you will stay here until the demonstrations finish. And I said, no, I'm coming for the demonstrations, and they were shocked, and they said, no, we will not allow you to go outside.
We were shocked to see Muhammad and Salah ad-Din coming at that time. It was strange. We asked them about the reason why they were visiting, and they said they came to join the protests. We tried to convince them that it was very dangerous, and the violence and brutality of the central security forces are shocking. So there's no need for you to go down to protest because we're worried about you and we don't want you to be harmed. And most of the Egyptian families at the time were worried about their children.
That morning, all our phone lines went out. We had absolutely no connection with anyone, which kind of was it kind of signaled how the government was dealing with the protest. It wasn't taking it lightly, and it was trying to fight it in every single way. They weren't really, letting us, voice our opinion or anything.
Any way of communicating wasn't really available except landlines. So we went down. My brother phoned a few of the people he knew down in Cairo. We met up at the mosque.
The thing that I noticed, that there was very famous people in Egypt, and there was actors, and it was not like Hosni Mubarak wanted to call it like it is a demonstration for hungry people or people who are in a difficult situation. Basically, these people were living a very luxury life, but I saw them willing to have the change, and they are fed up from this system.
So we finished the prayers at Mustafa Mahmoud. They had their barricades just like they did on the 25th, but we broke them. We pushed, and we were not afraid. We've seen that on the 25th. We got our lesson, we got our training, and they got their training too, because they couldn't stand it, they couldn't stop us. And the numbers were automatically sparking up to the thousands.
It encouraged everyone. People who wanted to do this but couldn't because because of, I don't know, whatever reasons. When they saw all these people in the street, they went down, and we just encouraged each other, and we weren't afraid anymore. We'd had enough. We just wanted to change the situation for ourselves.
And we got everybody moving, the same numbers moving towards Tahrir Square, the same route. But they started their fight earlier on. At 3 o'clock on the 28th of January, they started bombarding Al Galat Square.
They were shooting everywhere. Even I remember that they shot at a balcony and they fired one of the houses. I don't know how did this happen. And there was a petrol station next to us, and they did not care. So they were just going to blow up everything. Just in front of the bridge, there is a square. That's the scene I have. I remember on that area that it was just cloudy, white cloud. It's just like Gaza, like how we see Gaza when Israel was attacking it.
They ran out of gas, so they pulled out, and we moved forward. Then the clashes started because we were face to face, and we were moving very close to the soldiers with the gun in our chests. I was with a gun to my chest, moving with my hands up, saying "Silmiya, Silmiya, we are here for you, we are out for you." So most of the shooting that happened in the beginning, to us, seemed like the police was panicking because our numbers, our fearlessness made them not believe what was going on.
At a certain point, they just got very aggressive, started shooting everyone. So you would be standing there, and you see a police van just zooming by in the bridge. The bridge is not that big, so it goes around. There's a guy at the top. He has like a gun, and he would just shoot anyone that's in front of him. But no one used to run. All you see is people duck down, but you can see the guy next to you, he drops. You don't know if he's alive or he's not alive, but he dropped. It could have been you, it could have been your brother, but nobody really ran. That was surprising.
People called for the prayer, and we stood and we got ready for the prayer, and we started praying, and they were just throwing us with water. It was a dirty water, and it was very hot. The Christians were telling them, "Guys, don't you respect the religion? They are praying, they are not doing anything against you." But they kept on shooting at us. I did not even understand why they are doing that. People just tried to push them back, and until we find a gap. I don't know if this gap was made by us or if it was made by the police themselves as a tactic.
We were closing in on the police. They were backing up, screaming at us, and then bang! And then I find somebody fall right next to me on my right. So I'm trying to get to him. I don't know what to do. I mean, as I get to him, there's a guy comes and says, I'm a doctor. So he comes and he tears his shirt open, and all we see now is blood gushing out a meter and a half in the air. And the guy's saying, Mustafa, I don't know, they're calling names. I didn't know what was going on at that point, and I was carried away with the people crossing the bridge. Later on, I know that this man who died is called Mustafa Sqaure. He's one of the martyrs. He's just a youth that I had known at one point in time and played basketball with, and he was killed. Why? Because he came out to ask for his freedom, to ask for the freedom of the Egyptian people. It was an emotional time. Women were screaming, why was he killed? What did he do? He was unarmed. He was saying Silmiya, Silmiya, peaceful. He was a peaceful man, young man looking for a future, and they just decided to take this all from him by a single shot. And you know how he was shot? He was shot with a canister, a tear gas canister, not even a bullet. It was such a brutal death for this young man.
The balance of power began changing as the protesters marched forward in huge numbers. The security forces were unable to stop them. After sunset on the 28th of January, all members of the police and security forces disappeared from all the districts of Cairo, except for Tahrir Square.
My brother insisted to go further down. It was very cloudy because they were giving the tear gas very much. And you cannot see who is in front of you, but you can hear that they are very close to you. And I was trying to put him away from the situation because you cannot see who is in front of you. And it is just, I thought that this is a way that you are just getting yourself killed by not seeing who is in front of you.
It was kind of scary because you're running towards gunshots. You can only hear gunshots. There was a blown up car in the middle of that street, and it was on fire. So the smoke and the smoke bombs and everything, you can't see where the bullets are coming from. You can just hear them. There was so much bullets, like it's a ringtone to your ears. While I was going down to get a stone, I just heard something going through my body, and it was like drrr. I didn't feel anything at the moment. I just saw a couple blood drops hit the floor, and then after about a few seconds I realized I got shot, and then I went blacked up. I got blacked up, but a few minutes I was thinking like, alright, that's the part where I died.
Luckily he was not shot in the eyes or in any sensitive part, but I saw him bleeding from everywhere. He was just shot everywhere in the face except the eyes. So I took him to the doctor, and they tried to treat him.
It was quite shocking. I went there, I washed my face, and the doctors tried to take some out, and they did take some out, but then I had to go to the hospital. And my brother wanted to come with me, but they couldn't, because the only way people used to go to hospital was on bikes.
The whole people are right. At that day, they were young people. The average age was 25 or 26 years old. You can see the difference from these injured people at that day. All of the injured and all of the dead people, they were highly educated, highly cultured, rich people. They are not just, you can see that they have ideas and they have thoughts, and they will do whatever it takes to express their feelings. The people came, they already either dead before coming to the hospital or coming with their friends. Even there were not enough ambulance to carry them, so they were carrying by their friends to the hospital, either dead or just they dead on arrival to the hospital.
It was dramatic, really. There was lots of people. There was patients where you just see them covering their face, he's dead. And it wasn't really something surprising. Like on a normal day, you see someone that's dead, and people make a funeral and they cry about it. This guy's dead, like Allah yarhamu, that's it, he's dead.
Injured people started to come with bullets, and bullets in the head and neck and chest. This was at 9 o'clock p.m. and I think that it was by snipers, because a lot of people came with bullets in their heads. It means to kill these protesters, not just to injure or just to cripple them. During the 8 hours on this Friday, what's called Friday of Anger, 302 cases came to Cairo University with bullets injury. 65% of them were bullets in the head and neck, and 20 or 22% in bullets in the abdomen.
It was kind of a guerrilla war in the streets. People running after each other. It was crazy, and it was they were pushing us. The security forces running down the streets after us. They're adamant to get us, and we were saying, why? Okay, fine, you want us not to, but why the brutality? We don't have any weapons. Our weapons, as they say, were our dreams. Our dreams to live a better life in this world, live a better life in this country. We are entitled to it. Why do you take it from us?
After the fall of the security forces, Mubarak deployed the army to control the situation. He also imposed a curfew on the entire country and cut off different means of communication, including mobile phone networks and the internet, in an attempt to isolate protesters and clamp down on the protests even more. Mubarak then appeared on TV, addressing the Egyptian people, this time as commander of the armed forces. He announced the dismissal of Prime Minister Ahmed Nazif's government and said that he intended to bring democracy and reform to Egypt. Meanwhile, Nuruddin and Abdul Rahman began their journey from London to Egypt to join their brothers and the protesters.